Welcome back to Better Than Fiction with Jeanette and Eden. We are done with February, shortest month. Did you get your big book done?
Okay, you're funny. You're really funny. You see this big stick she just poked at me? So no, I did not.
Yeah.
I figured that's going to be a year-long one, so...
Oh. Yeah, because you need to digest that one a little bit more.
I do.
Don't you?
It is a translated book from Korean.
Yeah.
And I have read, like, this much of this very big book. And if anyone has seen Mulan, where the ancestors, like at the beginning of the movie, are all chatting and griping at one another, this is how the book starts. And I cannot get past hearing the dragons and the ancestors from Mulan, because it is ancestors talking, in my head.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over that. So it's going a little slower because I have to literally force that image and those voices out of my head.
Yeah.
But they are griping at one another. They're doing exactly the same. And that continues for at least another 50 pages as you start this book. And then they come back, because as I flip through the book to see how that dialogue is, it's throughout the whole, ever so often throughout the book. So that really slows me down, because it's like I'm reading a play, and I'm not good at reading, because it even has which ancestor with the dots, like you see in a play format.
Interesting.
So you can really see that this could be, like if you ever did theater, a short synopsis out of this book, and you could just plop it out. And that's harder for me to read too.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's going to be a fantastic book. I really do. I did read other things.
That's
It's
fair.
off my list.
Yeah.
In collaboration with listening to the ancestors gripe.
Yeah.
So that big stick, she knows it's going to be all a year-long stick.
It'll be a kind of a thing for this year's TBR videos. We'll just catch up with what's going on in Jeanette's book.
I think that could be a good one.
So yeah, okay. Well, that's where you were at. With
I
your
did
TBR
read other
number.
things. Yes,
Yeah.
my other things. So when we pulled out for our prompt last month, a book with a fake relationship, you kind of automatically go to romance.
Yep.
And I did too, until I'm going, okay, wait a minute. Let's think out of the box here, because I need to read off my TBR pile.
Yeah.
And if I pick up a romance, it's because I need it right there, right now when I read it. So I don't really have a lot of them on my TBR piles at home. So I picked up actually a book called The Thief and the Dogs, and I'm going to slaughter this name, Naqib Mahfouz. It's an Arabian written book and translated, and it is actually people who you thought were your friends are not. And when that betrayal happens, ugly things can happen, like your former friend kind of murders you.
Sure.
It was a very short book, but wow, very impactful. I'm going to make the assumption the translation was well done. It was up for awards like in the mid-90s, because that's when this book was published. We don't have it here at the library. I did pass the book on to someone else. But it was an interesting look at what happens when you feel so betrayed by people who you thought were your friends, or by your former wife, that it was just a mess.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I went, just to be able to read off my book piles at home.
Good twist. I liked that.
But I did read quite a bit. There are some books I've been reading and watching. All the excitement around the book award list. As you all know, I am a list hound.
Yep.
So lots of prediction videos by some of the reviewers out of Europe that I like to follow. And I'm happy to say we have some of those already in. Shy Creatures, I highly recommend, by Claire Chambers. That was on a couple of reviewers' lists. I'm not sure it'll make the Women's Prize for Fiction long list. It could. I don't know.
The name, is that her debut, or does she have other books?
No, she has another book. She has 2 other books out.
Okay,
So
that's
she
why
has
it's-
written a couple of others. And I think we do have one.
Yeah.
The Alien, something with alien in the title. I have read a lot of them, but I think we have them. So that could be why you recognize it.
Yeah.
3 Days in June by Ann Tyler. Of course, that one's talking about making the list. By the way, we do have Shy Creatures and 3 Days in June by Ann Tyler. I literally sat there in my morning coffee and read that. It's literally an hour and a half. I read quickly, so maybe not for everyone, but it's a very short book that reads very fast. About misunderstandings in relationships, kind of her MO. Because of the author, expect that to make the long list for the Women's Fiction Prize. Vanishing Treasures, I thought was super cool because it talks about animals that are endangered and extinct in their history. Kind of interesting. The Custodians of Wonder. If you have, that is one of our, also another non-fiction book that's new here. It talks about the last people that are doing these amazing things from history, but they're like, one gentleman is the last person who knows how to make the Incan rope bridges that the Incans used that long ago, but the way it's passed down through family to into the family, and when nobody wants to take that on and live very isolated. So it was, one of the last people to play a certain instrument out of Africa, and what happens when you're the last. And so we're losing that culture. So it was a reminder. Highly recommend, because I didn't really think about a lot of these particular things that this book was talking about. So I do recommend reading those. Those are all in the library. They're checked out right now, so I can't show you kind of the cool covers that we have. What I am reading currently is The Queen of Sugar Hill. This is one of our new books. It is about Hattie McDaniel, who was Mammy in Gone with the Wind, the movie. Okay. She was the first black actress to win a major award. She won an Oscar for her performance and the struggle that she had afterwards. While this is fiction, I did go ahead and read the back that really talked about the historical note. So it seems, some of the incidences and what she dealt with afterwards, of course, the racism and the lack of being able to find a job. It's really interesting. And so I'll be finished with this pretty soon if you just get a chance to read it. So I actually would recommend that.
Nice.
All right. So what about you, Eden, in our short month?
Short month. I read Brightside Running Club by Joyce Lloyd. This was a story about a woman who finds out or is diagnosed with breast cancer, and then her journey through figuring out how to live with this new reality and coping with being sick and being labeled as sick, and like people in her life who just were like, ugh, and like took a step back from her while she was going through chemo and all of these things. And then people who rose up to help her through it is equally sad but really uplifting at the same time. I really enjoyed it. And then I read for the fake dating, I did a kind of a twist on it too. I did read a romance, but it wasn't a true fake dating. It was, I read Something to Talk About by Meryl Wensler. They're perceived as dating, but they're not actually dating at that moment in time. And then they kind of carry on with their friendship, and then they do end up, as all romances, end up together. So that's what I read for that. I had a really low reading month this month. I was sick. My baby was going through a sleep regression, so I was going through a sleep regression. So I just didn't read too much this month. So I was happy I
maybe osmosis. Maybe have to stick it under the pillow.
Right.
It never worked in high school. I did try that just in case. I'm open.
But yeah, so I didn't read too much. I did listen to Less by Andrew Sean Greer. This was a delight book. This also marked off one of my book challenges here. It's about an author. The character is
It was an
author.
award-winning book when it came out.
Yeah,
it got a lot of attention.
I want to say 2017 is when this came out.
Yeah, right before the pandemic.
Yeah, 2017. So, very good. He goes on a little heartbreak journey, world traveling, struggles with languages. It's funny, cute. I do recommend that. The audiobook was really fun for that too.
I was going to say, how did they do the audiobook? Did the humor really come through on the audio?
Yeah, I think
bet so.
The narrator did a very good job. And then he also did there's German in it, because he's less thinks he can speak German. So he did the German, and it was a lot of fun to listen to that one. So would recommend the audiobook on that. Other things I listened to the third and final book of a interconnected standalone series by Bryn Weaver.
Okay, that was confusing. Interconnected standalone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can read them on their own, but they all do tie in to each other. The brothers are the.
Is it better to read in
romance.
order though?
Yes, I would highly recommend reading them in order. Otherwise, you'll kind of spoil
And what
yourself.
series is that? Oh.
Revenus something or Ron. I don't know. It's about serial killers who fall in love.
Okay, serial killers. I remember you talking about these.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
sound really interesting
They're
and
so
funny.
interesting. But I read Scythe and Sparrow. Audiobook again on that one. The men are all Irish, so they all have Irish accents.
Ooh, you want the audio.
Love that. And it's duet narrated, so you have if there's a man speaking, the man is speaking. If the woman is speaking, it's a woman speaking, no matter the point of view. And I love those too. Those are coming out more and more. I feel so. I recommend that series. It's dark romance, so there is blood and gore on page because they are serial killers who fall in love. So there's murder and there is eyeballs getting plucked out and accidental cannibalism. So read the trigger warnings before you do these books. But they are
Accidental
funny.
cannibalism.
Yeah,
But funny.
but funny.
Now we know just how twisted Eden can be in her reading.
Yes. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun too.
We do have them in print if you
yes.
don't normally listen to audiobook.
Yeah.
We do have them in print and the covers are kind of cool.
They're really neat. Yeah. I enjoy them a lot. They're probably one of my favorite interconnected standalone romance series out there right now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm listening to Mollis.
Is that a young adult? Or am I thinking of something different?
It could be, but there is a
Purple cover?
no, it's
No,
really dark with
different.
a Mexican or
Yeah, I'm thinking of a different.
Latino woman with lots of roses on the cover. It's kind of, they were touting it if you like Mexican, like Gothic or Mexican vampires. Not getting any of that other than it takes place with some history. To me, it feels very YA as you follow half the book. But then it flips back to the history of the adults. And so we do have this book, but we have it in the adult collection.
Sure.
Just because of it goes in between adult content and a YA
Sure.
character. And when I say adult content, it is not graphic or anything, but they're dealing with losing a child and
Sure.
and the anger and cheating on one another. But it's very much all about the Mexican or the Tejana culture. So you're looking at South Texas, right there on the border, and the history behind it. So it's very interesting, and I like it in audio too. But it's 13 hours in audio.
That's a hefty one. Yeah.
So
But yeah.
don't discount that audio.
No, I love it. It's so good. It's keeping me reading.
It does sometimes when you
yeah.
have to do other things.
Yeah, it's keeping me.
And don't forget, it's going to be
my
60
goal.
out, so you're going to start walking.
Yes,
Take
yep.
your audiobook, particularly if you're on
in.
on the walking trail
Yep.
when you are safe walking.
Yep. Yes.
Don't have to listen for cars. All right, we're going to draw our number.
I'm gonna draw the number again.
Okay. 8.
8.
8. So I will be reading The Bog Wife
Okay.
by Kay Cronister.
And I will be reading Dear Dottie by Jacqueline Westgate. And I think it's an end of life story.
Yeah, I might have read that one. Is it an older one or is it newer? Maybe I haven't.
I think it's newer. If it's the one I'm thinking about, it's two ladies on a park bench. She's got her arm around the younger lady.
Oh no, I think that's a newer one we got.
think it
in.
is, too.
I think it is, and I
Yeah.
have not read that one.
If I'm remembering the cover correctly.
Fair enough. All right, you want to draw our book prompt? Draw a good one. What we
That
got?
seems okay. Read a debut novel. That's a fun one.
That is going to be fun.
That's a hard
That
thing,
is all
though.
over the place.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
can be anything, so that's going to be really fun. I have a lot of those on my, because
Backlogs. Yeah.
Backlogs.
Yeah, I'm like,
Backlogs.
well, I don't really have any debuts on my TBR because it's not my old it's new usually, but no, there can be debut.
You usually want to go to their first
Their
one.
first one back
Their
in the
first
day,
one,
yeah.
and there's a lot on those reading lists,
Yes.
just to let you know, in case anyone needs one.
Yeah.
So we will be posting the short list for Women's Prize for Nonfiction will be out soon. The long list is already out.
Oh,
For the
that.
nonfiction.
oh, for nonfiction.
March 3rd, the long list for the fiction, Women's Fiction Prize will be out. And also the list for the Booker and International Booker, the long lists are coming out in the next week or week and a half. So they're on my calendar.
They are.
But Eden has been awesome about posting. I did also take a look at the Dublin Literary Prize.
Oh.
And that one's interesting because that gets nominations from libraries all over the world and institutions. And we have a bunch of those. So it was pretty awesome. So
Look at us go.
look at us go. Enjoy your reading.
Yes, happy reading. Okay, dokie.